Patrick Mahomes just dropped a bombshell on the entire NFL during the draft, and it's starting to look like Kansas City might be searching for a new quarterback. After a torn ACL cut his season short, a roster falling apart around him, and a year that completely derailed everything we thought this dynasty would be. This feels like the moment we all knew was coming, but not like this. So what exactly is the bombshell, and why does it have the entire league panicking? December 14th, 2025. That's the date everything changed in Kansas City. The Chiefs were facing the Los Angeles Chargers in Week 15, and with under 2 minutes to go and Kansas City trailing by 3 points, Mahomes rolled to his right, trying to keep his team's playoff hopes alive. When he was rolled up on by Chargers defensive lineman Deshaun Hand, he went down. He grabbed his knee, and every person watching knew this was something different. Mahomes tore both his ACL and LCL in his left knee. Not just the ACL, which on its own is a 9-month recovery at minimum. The LCL too. He underwent surgery the very next day in Dallas, performed by Dr. Dan Cooper. The speed of that surgical decision was itself a statement. Mahomes wanted to start the clock on his recovery immediately. But the injury wasn't just about one man. That loss to the Chargers officially eliminated the Chiefs from postseason contention, ending a playoff streak that stretched back an entire decade to 2014. Kansas City finished the 2025 season at 6-11. Let that sink in for a moment. This is the same franchise that had been to 3 consecutive Super Bowls, winning 2 of them. It was the first time in Mahomes' 8 years as the starter that he did not play in the postseason. Even before the injury, the cracks had been widening. Mahomes completed just 62.7% of his passes for 3,587 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions in 14 games. His completion percentage, yards, and touchdowns were all career lows. Since he became the starter in 2018, he was running for his life behind a deteriorating offensive line. With Rashee Rice suspended and Travis Kelce getting older, there wasn't a receiver capable of stepping up to shoulder the offensive load. And now the franchise quarterback was in a hospital bed in Dallas, staring at the ceiling, wondering what his football future looked like. Then came his message on social media. He wrote, "Don't know why this had to happen. And not going to lie, it hurts. But all we can do now is trust in God and attack every single day over and over again." And then the line that stopped the NFL in its tracks, "I will be back stronger than ever." But would he? And more importantly, does he even want to come back to the team that's been crumbling around him? If the injury was the earthquake, the offseason that followed was the flood. What Kansas City's front office did in the months after Mahomes went down wasn't just a retool. It was a systematic dismantling of everything the dynasty had been built upon, and Mahomes was forced to watch it all happen from a rehabilitation table. First, the money problem. Mahomes' original 10-year extension, signed in 2020, was worth up to $450 million. That deal was supposed to cement him in Kansas City for the duration of his prime, but the cap consequences of that contract, combined with years of aggressive spending to chase championships, had finally come home to roost. The Chiefs converted $54.45 million of Mahomes' 2026 base salary into a signing bonus, reducing his cap number from $78.2 million to $34.65 million and freeing up roughly $43.56 million in cap space. This was the 4th consecutive year the Chiefs had restructured Mahomes' contract to improve their cap situation. Every time they kicked the can further down the road, it meant the eventual financial reckoning would be that much more brutal. And now that reckoning was here, the casualties were devastating. The Chiefs experienced a mass exodus from their secondary this offseason, with 3 starters departing. The most painful loss of all was All-Pro cornerback Trent McDuffie. The team traded McDuffie to the Los Angeles Rams for a package of future draft picks as part of their roster retooling. McDuffie wasn't just a good player. He was a cornerstone piece, and Mahomes made his feelings known. Mahomes clearly didn't approve of the Chiefs trading McDuffie to the Rams. His one-word reaction on social media made Chiefs fans even more upset about a deal that already stung. Then starting right tackle Jawan Taylor was released. Defensive end Mike Dana was released in February to clear cap space. Veteran after veteran was shown the door. The very players who had helped build the dynasty were being jettisoned to create cap room, to try to rebuild around a quarterback who might not even be ready to play when the season starts. And the tight end situation loomed over everything like a thundercloud. Travis Kelce's future remained undecided. The veteran had not committed to playing in 2026, leaving open the possibility of retirement. After a long and accomplished career, Kelce, who had recorded 1,080 receptions for 13,002 yards and 82 touchdowns, building one of the best QB-TE duos in NFL history with Mahomes, might simply walk away. If Kelce retired, it wouldn't just be losing a player, it would be losing the last emotional tether to the championship years. Eventually, Kelce did return, signing a 3-year deal worth $57.7 million. But the fact that it was even a question tells you everything about the state of uncertainty swirling around this franchise. So put yourself in Mahomes' shoes. You're rehabbing the worst injury of your career. Your best defensive player just got traded to a division rival. Your right tackle got cut. Half your secondary walked. Your best friend on the team almost retired. And you're watching all of it from the training room, unable to do anything about it. The question isn't just whether Mahomes will come back physically. The question is whether there's anything left to come back to. While Kansas City's front office was tearing the roster apart and stitching it back together, Mahomes was engaged in his own private war, the grueling, isolating, and often invisible process of rehabilitating a catastrophically injured knee. And the timeline he set for himself bordered on the defiant. In comments shared with reporters in January, he expressed determination to be available from the outset of the new campaign. "I want to be ready for week 1. The doctors said I could," Mahomes said, but he was measured enough to add a caveat. "But I can't predict what happens throughout the process." That's the goal, to play week 1 and have no restrictions. The medical community was divided. The standard recovery period for a combined ACL and LCL reconstruction typically spans around 9 months. That put Mahomes' theoretical return right at the beginning of September 2026. A razor-thin margin, but not everyone believed it was achievable. Popular sports doctor David Chow, who spent 17 years as a head team doctor in the NFL, wasn't buying the optimistic timeline. An LCL injury for Patrick Mahomes means the Chiefs' season will be significantly impacted in 2026. There is no way for him to be 100% healthy for the start of next season, Chow stated. He went further, comparing Mahomes' situation to Carson Wentz's similar injury in 2017, and suggesting it might be 2027 before he's fully mobile and Patrick Mahomes like before. Even Robert Griffin III, who suffered a comparable injury during his own NFL career, an injury many believe is what ultimately derailed his trajectory as a franchise quarterback, publicly urged Mahomes to pump the brakes. "I believe Mahomes should sit out the entire next season because of when his injury happened," RGII said, but Mahomes pushed forward regardless. Fox Sports NFL insider Jay Glazer weighed in on the recovery, saying his pain threshold is different, his work ethic is different, and suggesting he could be back even sooner than expected. Chiefs chairman and CEO Clark Hunt also expressed confidence, saying nobody works harder than Patrick, and confirming that the organization shared Mahomes' goal of a September return. In March 2026, Mahomes shared a video of himself throwing, a major step forward in his rehab. The footage sent shockwaves through the NFL. Just 3 months after surgery, the man was already firing spirals. By the time the Chiefs opened their voluntary off-season program in April, Mahomes was in attendance, participating in weight training and meetings. Head coach Andy Reid said Mahomes was doing well. "He can lift, do all that rehab. That's the phase he's in right now. He's doing great, but we've just got to be smart with this thing." But even as the recovery progressed, confusion crept in. The Chiefs organization began delivering conflicting messages about Mahomes' status. While head coach Andy Reid said Mahomes was ahead of schedule and that he would never bet against him, team owner Clark Hunt suggested the quarterback may not be ready for the season opener. Some accused the organization of trying to manipulate the NFL schedule to avoid a tough Week 1 matchup against the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Others wondered if the mixed messaging was a sign of genuine internal disagreement about whether rushing Mahomes back was wise. All of this was happening while Mahomes was also acutely aware of his place in history. Before the injury, he had already said that family would ultimately dictate when he walks away from football. "If I feel like it's taking away from my family time, that's when I'll know it's time to go," he told Time magazine. He's a dad of 3 now, Sterling, Bronze, and Golden, and a major knee injury has a way of accelerating those kinds of conversations. And then the draft arrived. The 2026 NFL Draft kicked off on April 23rd in Pittsburgh, the first time the event had been held in the Steel City since the 1940s. An estimated 320,000 people flooded Acrisure Stadium, a record. And as the nation watched, the evening unfolded with a series of seismic moves that reshaped the league. The Las Vegas Raiders used the #1 overall pick to select Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza, a Heisman Trophy winner who had led the Hoosiers to a national championship. Mendoza was a precision-based pocket passer built on rare accuracy and steady command in high-leverage moments. Another franchise pinning its hopes on a young arm. Meanwhile, in the NFL's veteran quarterback circles, a man recovering from a torn knee was watching and wondering. The New York Jets went second with Texas Tech edge rusher David Bailey. The Arizona Cardinals shocked the league by taking Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love at #3. The first running back drafted that high since Trent Richardson in 2012. Then came the Kansas City Chiefs' turn to make their statement. The Chiefs traded up with the Cleveland Browns, sending their 9th overall pick and additional draft capital to move up and select LSU cornerback Mansour Delane with the 6th overall pick, the very position they had gutted in the offseason. Cornerback was now the one they were investing premium capital to address. After trading away Trent McDuffie and watching multiple secondary starters leave, Brett Veach went right back to the well. It was a fascinating night across the board. Off the field, Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel made headlines of his own. He announced he would not be with the team on Saturday for the draft, as he had decided to seek counseling. "I have always wanted to lead by example, and I believe this is what I have to do to be the best husband, father, and coach that I possibly can be," Vrabel said. Then, in a twist, the Patriots announced that Vrabel would speak before the draft began, a dramatic moment that underscored the deeply personal stakes these men face beyond the game. Back to Kansas City, the Delane pick told a story. The Chiefs had lost their top 10 draft innocence back in 2017, when they traded up to select Mahomes with the 10th pick. That trade changed the franchise forever. Now, nearly a decade later, they were back in the top 10, this time because they had fallen there on merit, a 6-11 record that screamed dysfunction. And with their quarterback on the mend, the front office's message was clear: we're building this thing back, with or without Mahomes at full strength. The Chiefs also acquired Justin Fields from the Jets in a trade, sending a 6th-round pick in the 2027 draft for a quarterback who could serve as a bridge. If Mahomes isn't ready when September arrives, that move, more than any other, spoke volumes. Because if the organization truly believed Mahomes would be ready for Week 1, why trade for a starting caliber backup? So here we are. The draft is happening. Rookies are walking across the stage, shaking Roger Goodell's hand, putting on caps and holding up jerseys. And the biggest question in the NFL has nothing to do with any of them. It has to do with a 30-year-old man in a Kansas City training facility, grinding through rehabilitation, surrounded by a roster he barely recognizes, and facing the first genuine uncertainty of his career. Mahomes has been here before, not with an injury this severe, but with doubt. He was doubted coming out of Texas Tech. He was doubted when Kansas City manufactured a smokescreen in the 2017 draft, leaking that they were trading up for Alabama linebacker Reuben Foster to disguise the fact that they were actually targeting Mahomes. He was doubted during that 2023 regular season when the offense looked broken, and pundits were writing off the dynasty every time he answered. But 2026 is different. This isn't a slump. This isn't a bad stretch of games. This is a torn ACL and LCL. This is a roster being rebuilt from scratch. This is his best defensive player traded away over his objections. This is the real possibility that his best football years might be behind him. He said he wants to play until at least 39. That was before the injury. He said he'd love to play as long as Tom Brady, who lasted until 45. But he's also said the thing that matters more than any of it: if I feel like it's taking away from my family time, that's when I'll know it's time to go. The 2025 season already posted career lows across the board. His passer rating sank to 89.6. His interception total ballooned to 11 in just 14 games. Early MVP odds for 2026 have him 7th among candidates, behind 5 other quarterbacks in his own conference. The league is already moving on, mentally at least. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Drake May, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Those are the names at the top of the list now. Mahomes, the man who won 3 Super Bowls, is an afterthought in the odds makers' eyes. And yet there's what Andy Reid said. He's doing great. But we've just got to be smart with this thing. There's what Jay Glazer said. Patrick's different. There's the video of him throwing footballs in March, 3 months after surgery. There's the fact that he showed up for voluntary workouts in April, when nobody would have blamed him for staying home. There's the $450 million contract that still has years left on it. And there's the fire. The same fire that drove a kid from Tyler, Texas, to become the face of professional football. The bombshell Mahomes has dropped on the NFL isn't a single statement or a press conference quote. It's the totality of the situation. A 3-time Super Bowl champion is sitting at a crossroads nobody imagined he'd reach at 30 years old. His dynasty is in ruins. His body is broken. His supporting cast has been scattered to the winds. And the football world is genuinely asking, for the first time ever, will Patrick Mahomes quit? The answer, if history is any guide, is probably no. Mahomes doesn't quit things. He didn't quit when receivers dropped his passes. He didn't quit when the Chiefs fell behind in Super Bowls. He didn't quit an hour after tearing his ACL when he was telling the medical staff, "Get me up, get me going." But 2026 will test that resolve like nothing else in his career has. The NFL Draft is building futures for 32 teams tonight. For Patrick Mahomes, the question isn't about the future of one team. It's about the future of the man who made that team matter in the first place.